Howdys and Salutations, y'all! How are you doing? Hopefully you're having a good day so far. Let's see what we've got going on here. Right, yes, Miquella, I've got my setup all messed up. But yes, I think that we're good to go. We've made some excellent headway from last time. And hopefully we can continue that. I've gathered a few more Miquella refs, done a little bit of practice. We'll see how far that gets us. But I'm going to be honest, most of what I've been doing, well, okay, technically most of what I've been doing is job, but most of my free time has been going to GDQ, of course. Summer Games Done Quick is absolutely a blast, highly recommend. I wish I could actually be there, at least for like one day. I feel like I'd like die from being there the whole week just from never sleeping, but like, it'd be fun to go. And it's such a cool thing, and it's such a good cause, and all that jazz, and best as I can tell my research, all of it's on the up and up, so they're not, like, scavenging 90% of the funds. It's actually going to the good cause. Yeah, no, it's all good. It all seems to be good. I mean, honestly, most of my concerns about where the money's going are alleviated by the fact that Doctors Without Borders keeps working with them and asking them to do this again. Not like Doctors Without Borders needs the publicity, so they're getting the funds from this. Because technically they get 100% of the funds, but then they hire the GDQ group to, or they sponsor it in order. I don't know. There's some back and forth, but it seems like it's a net vast positive. And of course the event is fun, and it is a good cause, so very much happy to support all that. So yeah, no, definitely check it out. Whoops, sorry about all the mic deafening, resetting up situation. I did a lot of deep cleaning yesterday. Some before stream, some after, but it means stuff is in place, but that still feels a little out of place. Also did a lot more like cosplay prep for conventions and such. Oh wow, this is the last stream of the week. I miss the Thursday stream so much. Having it distributed works so much better. As soon as I can get back on those, I'm definitely going to. That's oh man, that's something that I miss a lot. So yeah, definitely want to get back to those at some point. Because it's not like I get to enjoy my evenings, it's just taking doctor's appointments. Doctor's appointment, PT, physical therapy, yeah. Not technically same diff, but it's, you know, a little same diff. But that's enough about my random meanderings. Go watch. If you're watching me, you ought to be watching GDQ on Twitch instead. But if you do choose to stick around, we're going to be doing some Miquella Illustrations. GDQ posts their VODs. I do too. Not their VODs, I post my VODs. Guess I could post their VODs, but that would be weird, and they probably wouldn't appreciate that. So instead of doing that, we're just going to get back in here and pick up where we left off. And where we left off was an interesting place. Because it's not perfect, but dang, it's so much... It doesn't feel like the massive perfect roadblock relief like some of the other updates did, but it's still just huge to have a face. Is it a perfect face? No. Is it a stinking good enough face? Yes. At least for the rough draft, we can tweak and refine it, but the shape and position are right enough that I'm just going to move on so we don't spend another 30 hours on this. And unlike some of the past times when we've done that, I don't see any immediate things where I'm like, ooh, this feels wrong, but I can't pinpoint it. I just sort of have it's been so long working on this, I've got this sort of deadened, like, I don't even think I could identify if it's right or wrong anymore. So, hopefully it's all good. So, you know, with a lot of things, if it's a quick achievement, or like a tough challenge and then a big win, you're like, ooh, awesome. But if it's a tough, really long, drawn-out challenge, then by the time you get the win, you're just like, yay, and then kind of faceplant just from like tiredness. Like there's not that big weight off your shoulders because you've just sort of acclimated to it. So yeah, I don't know, we'll see. And also there's the hesitance because I've thought we were past this before and then we're back, but I am confident we're much better placed than before. So where we left off, we had finished our rough sketch, and let's see. I don't like this hand. Okay, we've got better hand and arm option there. We've got decent body option elsewhere. I feel like I should do these first and then go to the other one, but these are also the stuff I prepped. We'll figure it out. Long story short, we're still doing our Miquella Illustration. How cheapers, if this was an animation, we are so behind schedule. Thank heavens it's not. I'd love to do some animated stuff at some point. We'll get there. We'll get there someday, not now. I feel like technically I understand a lot of the timing on animation, but practically actually applying it is a different challenge. And you gotta be consistent enough at sketching to even pull any of it off at first. So, instead of fretting about the future, let's think about the now and what we're up to. But before we do that, I'm gonna just chuck a message that says, go watch SGDQ instead of this. Because man, it's hard for me to turn it off. I mean, that's why I was 2 minutes late, was, I was watching the end of a speedrun. There we go. That way we've got that sort of overhead deal going on there. Neato mosquito. And, yeah, we'll just keep on keeping on. I am excited about... Damn it. I'm excited about where we are in the art, too, honestly. I know I've said that a little bit. Let's see, I've gathered this ref. Good. This is actually a really handy ref for the arm. Awesome. Because what we moved on to, we had moved on from the rough sketches, and we're moving on to what I am dubbing the clean lines. Because calling it inks was apparently like a stupid hang-up, and I would get caught up on like, well, is it good enough for a pen? But that's not really what matters. And like half the time when I do in-person inks, I use just a hard pencil. And when I do non-in-person, and when I do in-person sketching, I use a pen sometimes. So I was too caught up in the medium and not enough on the concept. What inking really means in most digital cases is like your final line work. And that's all this is. So, let's do it. Clean lines. Now, the challenge here is how do I want to manage my layers? And more importantly, for the line work, does it matter? It does if I plan to adjust things later. It should not otherwise. So, like, grayscales and stuff, yeah, having them on separate layers is actually really handy. Because you can use clipping layers and stuff, and it's a whole thing. But for the line work, I'm not sure it does. So let's just start out like this. And let's test out a pen I haven't actually used for much of anything in ages. And even then I didn't use it much at all. Is this Real G Pen? I don't know. I've been liking it for shading stuff and like messing around with that. And I kind of want to mess around with it for line work because that's what I think it's intended for. Let's see, that feels a little harsh. We'll figure out, I guess the one thing where the lines being on different layers might be handy is adjusting it for different gradients, like in dark areas we might want lighter lines. I'm so not used to actually using lines because I like my lineless styles a lot, but I'm trying to actually do line work on this one. At least where it's relevant. So that's what we're going to be trying to do. Oh boy. Okay. And so, let's just pick, pardon me, let's pick a color that looks comfortable but still pops from the background. Probably ought to go one darker than this. It's gonna end up looking a little heavy, but we can, again, we can tweak that with clipping layers and such, so that's fine. And, yeah, let's get started. The first off sleeve. I'm gonna guess a little bit on that one. We'll come back, we're gonna get the full sketch in here in a minute, but I want to make sure that we're using the right arm and the right face refs as opposed to the bad ones on the other sketch. So, we're gonna just do these on their own layer first. We'll sort of do a merging in a minute. And instead, I'm gonna talk a little bit about where I'm trying to pull some of these details, because we're adding more details, so I've gotten some more actually detail refs instead of like proportion refs. And we'll also get to see me practicing my stinking line work. But first off, I want to talk a little bit, because I've been doing some research on like the drapes of this particular type of thing, and looking at the statues a bit and different things. And I'm going to aim for a slightly stiffer cloth than I'd originally gone for, and probably stiffer than what we did in the other sketch. As much as I like the fluid flowing one, and we may end up going back to it, I don't know. But the stiff one does open up some other options. I mean, looking at our Miquella refs, because we've got a handful, it's not a fluid flowing cloth. Like, it's not like cardboard, but this is not like silk. This is like cotton. To put it loosely, I mean, stinking, there's so many wonderful types of fabric, and I'm not going to be able to detail all the different stuff. Pardon me, but I noticed that even back when I was doing practice sketches on that one very nice in-depth illustration of Moog and Miquella, is it's not like super drapey fabric. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not heavy, but it's not like got a ton of stuff going on, you know? Yeah, I mean, I stinking love fabric folds and flows. They're so fun, aren't they? Boom, fabric. Super easy. Slightly more complicated when it's actual clothing, though. So yeah, we're gonna go. I found some refs that are a little bit stiffer fabric that I'm gonna use as our starting point. We'll sort of have to figure out how exactly it connects to the rest of the garment. I feel like it makes sense for this one to actually, like, yeah, if it's at an angle like this, it really is going to be just off the top of the arm, and the sort of drapey part will be on the bottom. Not overly sharp, but, you know, there. And kind of go for a line more like that, perhaps? Give us some interesting stuff we can contrast with later with the rest of the outfit, which we'll get to once we're getting to the rest of the outfit. I'm going to make this a slightly softer taper up. Like, I still like that it sort of tapers up a little bit, just because it kind of implies the fabric's got a little resistance to it, but we don't need anything crazy. Okay. And then, dealing with this part, I mean, on the one hand, arm taper is extreme. On the other hand, the counter motion of, well, not motion, but the counter tapering of this weird foreshortening, also extreme, and foreshortening frequently ends up just looking a little off, which it does in reality too. We have all those wonderful Escher-ish illusions. That's basically messing with weird foreshortening. If you don't know, foreshortening is the concept of, if you're looking at someone straight on view like this, no, I don't want to restart the EA. Oh, whatever. I was playing My Sims like 2 days ago. But yeah, foreshortening, you've got, if you're looking at like a front view, the arm is this long. But if you're looking at him on side view, like, the arm is really just like a dot straight here with the hand on the end of it. Like, you can't see the whole length. And in like a 3/4-ish view, like, that's not quite on the right place. Oh, whatever. Like, this arm, it's still, like, you can tell, like, it's the same-ish arm. Like, even if we chill a little bit on the length on these to make it more accurate with the legs, it's like, yeah. Clearly, this is still, like, this looks like a person with the same proportions. But, like, here it's going from, like, the 1040 to, like, not even a full tick on this upper bar, where over here it's, like, 4, and over here it's less, it's, like, half. No, not now. There we go. So that's foreshortening, is the idea that it's literally shorter as it's in the foreground, i.e. closer to us. I guess it's also true in the background. I'm not sure that's the origin of the actual name, but that's basically what it means. So, in the name of trying to capture that, the problem is that the arm normally tapers like this, or like a fair bit, but then the foreshortening means that this is also going to look bigger closer to the camera, because the rest of the arm is like a long way away, and the body is like, you know, over there. I don't know that that's a good illustration of it. Me. Hand. Like those old, I swear they existed, but I can't ever find pictures of them. They were like Taco Casa or Taco Cabana, or with one of those places back in like the 90s and 2000s. They had ads where it was like a person in the background and then a super zoomed up hand holding the food item. And so the hand and the food item take up like 9/10 of the area, and then there's just like a little person in the corner that they're connected to. They looked very jarring and like creepy and bad, in my opinion, but they're fascinating foreshortening, and I think also heavily manipulated with Photoshop and not just lenses. But, you know, what you gonna do? Okay, we'll deal with... Nope, now's the time we deal with hands. So often we've said we'll deal with the hand later. It's stinking time. The problem is that, that hand is the one I used to draw. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of brain inverty in order to... Let's see. In order to make sure that I get this right. And the wrist angle is going to be different regardless. Okay. I replicate that appearance with my other arm. Okay, cool. A slight curve up. Really ought to be like a little more for the wrist, that's fine. It's that knuckle. That's where it come down. I need to be at a slightly different angle if we want to see the rest of that. Okay, okay, interesting. That changes things. Backside really does look kind of a little more flat than I expected. Curving this down. I'm just going to get some rough stuff in here for now, and then we'll do, obviously, improvements and tweaks. We've got kind of the knuckles, which is its thing, which doesn't line up with the gaps in the finger. Necessarily the same height either. This one ends up arcing out and a little bigger. Go to this knuckle blending into the edge here. The skin kind of going around this, but that's okay. Okay. There. We'll flesh those out, literally. I guess we're not out fleshing them, but we're giving them flesh. I feel like that's what fleshing out would mean in a literal sense. And curled around there, got kind of this. Kind of just a smooth transition into the thumb. The most part isn't in view. And look, is this a brilliant hand? No. Is it, like, kind of reasonably proportioned? A little bit. A good starting spot. Wait, hold on. Checking full sketch for angles. Because I know we'd had some angle concerns. Should be fine. Having the emphasis on the knuckles always makes it look Mickey Mouse-ish. We'll chill on that a little bit. This is the kind of thing that probably should have been done on a sketch layer, but I put it off till now, so we're doing it now. Just do a little bit of cleanup with these. Oh yeah, vector eraser, that's right, we can do much better cleanup. As long as I make this just a little bit not giant. There we go. The hand looks a little too big in proportion to the arm, but I actually think we want to tweak the arm for that rather than the hand. Doing something like this, and then going in. And like I said, the foreshortening on the arm was... We knew that was going to be a challenge going in. The issue's really with the thumb there, because it makes the hand look a little too, like, wide. Maybe the thumb needs to be, like, further down, and we kind of have this arcing like that. That a little better. It all depends on the width of this. Some of that's making the hand look too wide, and that's, I think, really our issue. So we'll see whether it connects to the thumb or it connects to the wrist. Foreshortening in here was always going to be a little weird. Oh. Okay. We'll probably have to clean that up a little bit, but it's a start, and I don't want to get overly bogged down on any one thing while we're trying to get this sorted. Because once again, this has been a project with some nasty... let's just say enthusiasm killing ability. Because we've gotten stuck on some areas for so long. Oops, don't want to double up on lines. Not when we're doing our nice line work like this. Let's see, that's probably... Okay, there we go. That's a little better. Whoops, that's the eraser. That's not what I wanted. No, what is this? There we go. Oh, it's been a long time since we've even been using like this workflow mentally and in practice. Shading will help with this, but also I am going to have to tweak it and round out some stuff, because this is still a little too sketchy for final inks and clean lines. As is some of this. Doesn't mean we can't use it, just means we need to be smart about it. Don't want to be doubling up on lines if we can avoid it. Ah. Not liking that song. Alright, trying a different Harris Heller playlist. Been a while since we've shouted them out. I know we always mention it in the video comments, but yeah, all this music is Harris Heller stream beats. They're real nice. Really appreciate that they've got all that stuff available. Okay, and then I actually want to pull up our reference image a little bit. Again, still a statue, so as far as references go, it's not the best. But it'll do. We kind of got the far edge of the nose. We're going to have like a little more curve visible here. I'm going to start with just like that middle line. I'm not going to worry too much about some of the other stuff. We'll just get like a very simple... Remembering that this is a very young looking character, so you don't want to lean too hard into sharp facial features. See, we're still on the right layer. Good, good. Always got to check that. And the hair. This'll be fun. See, it's funny, the stage we're getting to now is the stage that, like, it's almost where we started the Miquella illustration. Like, we spent like half a stream, one stream on Miquella because we had a direct reference, so we weren't creating all these proportions and composition and stuff. It was just there and ready. And that is not the case with this one. Okay, I actually want to figure out the ear first. I assume, yeah, no visible ear. But I think in our Moog piece there was one. So we'll start with something simple. Assuming the hair is going to obscure most of it. Let's see, I'm feeling out the hair too much and we don't want that. There you go, that's kind of an interesting hair tuft. We may have to adjust that in a little bit, but that's okay. Kind of the big forehead thing going on here. Fine. Let's see, no, hairline, face line, separate. I mean, they will merge, but they are, I wanted to make sure that I was getting the angles right and not sort of blurring those together. Okay, there we go. There we go, that's better. Do a quick little save there, because we hadn't done that in a while. And we're going to keep on going. Now, one of the things we want to get in here, beyond all of the hair, of course, although we definitely want to get that, because that's fun, is we've got these braids. And one of them, I think, is actually going to be following this line. And it's also going to be following, of course, gravity around the ear. That's too wide. There we go. And this, I think, is actually going to cross in front of it. We'll probably have to adjust that. That seems too flat by comparison now. Okay. But we will get our sort of braidish pattern going in here. I don't want to just do an overly casual simplification. I think we're going to want to dig out the actual reference we had for braided Miquella way back when. That's the Moog one, I believe. Other thing we want to get in here while we're here is this headpiece. Now, this is not the best reference image we have of it, so I may hold off until we have our better ref, but I am going to just, as a reminder, let's see, it's a fairly high arc on the head. There. Then around. There we go, a little more down curve. Oh, you know what? Continuous arc. Zooming out real quick, just for some context. Yep, arm looks cartoony because of the knuckle emphasis, and probably because the fingers are a little too wide. Looking at you, Mickey Mouse, but that is all stuff we can work with. Let's try this. Oops. Get a little more curve on that, that's fine. But that'll do for that head piece. I'm going to go ahead and lose any of it that's overlapped by the braid. Ah, no. Go clean line. Whoops, nope. I'm gonna have to mess with my vectors a little bit to just manually do this one, methinks. I've got them all tangled now. Hey, messy. Messy, messy, messy. I'm looking at two different lines here, aren't I? Okay, there we go. That makes more sense. I was like, that seems like it had more points on it than it did like a moment before. I'm sure we can just mess with this one. Okay. If you're wondering about those squares, by the way, as opposed to the dots, you know, we've got these squares on the end. Typically, I mean, they can mean a few things, but usually, I don't know why there's this middle one. Usually they're on either end of a line, and specifically, they handle... Okay, this one has two in each direction, so there must be a second thing that it's dealing with. Or I doubled back on myself, one of the two. But they tend to handle how it tapers, both in color and depth. So you can see from, like, these 2 points, no matter how far away they are, it's the same solid black line. Same solid black line. Boom. They're not tapering with distance, they're just staying set. But for these end ones, you can see that we're actually dealing with this much fainter line between these nodes and then as it connects to the other nodes. So I think the squares, beyond a few other things related to Bezier curves, and just these aren't Bezier. Well, they're not handled with the same handles. I don't know if they're calculated the same way or not. But the point is that it's mostly messing with those ends. So if we have a line that we want to have a hard stop, then we just move this back. Boom. Hard stop. Whereas this end tapers. Now obviously you can do that with, you know, quality of pen strokes, and that's the much better and faster way to do it. But if you've got a line that's being stubborn and you just want to manually tweak it, vector layers make that possible. And that, I think at least, is pretty cool. I just want to demark that this one is a braid. I'm going to throw these little hatch marks in there, because I do want to come back and actually do proper braid illustration later. But this way we'll at least know what we're looking at. No, let's not tangent those two lines, because then I'm going to get confused at some point. Especially because that one ends up tangenting with the other old undersketch layer. Okay, yeah, we forgot a few things. Now we want to remember that, on the one hand, Miquella's probably... We want to give Miquella a stoic expression here, and that's definitely not what's currently being conveyed. I might need to look up a stoic reference. But the problem is stoic is basically just a blank face most of the time, and it's just relative to context. So I'm going to have to I'm gonna have to make sure that I'm being clever with, like, actually showing enough detail. I guess Stoic honestly usually looks a little serious even. Although okay, yes, Epicurus is a Stoic, but that doesn't mean his statue is a good art reference for Stoic expressions. Dang it. Yes, the philosophy of Marcus Aurelius, also fascinating. He's very cool. But, yeah, references on this are a little more stubborn. Weirdly, the Volkswagen ad is, like, the best option. Yes, Stoicism, very fun. Oh, jeepers, zooming on this was a mistake. Okay. Sorry, I know this isn't visible on stream, just give me a half a second and we'll be done here. Kafka! Oh, jeepers. Okay, I'm glad that people on Pinterest are interested in philosophy. I think, I'll be honest, I think with this one, the biggest issue here is, like, the mouth is low detail, but the problem is the eyes. They're, like, they feel too boldly open, and that may just be a style problem, or a not enough pixels problem. Because, man, could go for a couple more of those. Or it could just be a they're too big problem. Hard to make an anime character look... Well, it's not. You can definitely make Stoic-looking anime characters. The super giant eye chibi ones, you're gonna have to stylize the eyes more. Also, it might be the generic direction they were looking. Even this might just be better. Hard for me to know. I mean, that's certainly more expressive, but it looks like they're silently judging someone off in the other direction. The taper on that's not landing in quite the right spot. The eyebrows also do a lot for expression, and I don't think that they're quite where they need to be. We'll start with that. That just looks annoyed. Like, really, dude? We will probably have to play with the expression itself on a separate stream. Just because that's something that's going to take some planning and prep time. And thought, which is good. But it's going to be a little more than I've necessarily prepped for today. We'll just start with this. And I'm going to chill on the eyebrows a little bit. We did the, like, super small eyebrows. The chunky ones. I don't think it would fit anything else in the style, of course. But, why let that stop you? Paint expression wouldn't be the worst, but it's still not really what we're going for. So, we'll come back. We're going to do some more eye references separately to deal with the face, because of course, the face itself can still use some tweaks. It's not looking a little flat. Shading, of course, will do wonders for that more than line work will be able to. But, I'm inclined to get rid of some of... There we go. There we go. Now we're not getting weird, like, neck tangent lines. I'm gonna avoid messing with this anymore until we have the rest of the hair in, because, you know, I don't know how to look in context, but I expect we will be messing with it more. I remember this isn't a hairline. Got to remember that. Okay, sketch back. Let's keep going. I am going to switch our reference image here. Oops. Ah, here we go. Here's the button. Oh, wait, no. Desktop, Miquella refs. Sure, I left. Yeah, here we go. Bad for face, good for braids. Woo! We'll be able to keep that in mind a little bit as we go through the next few here. There will definitely be more. Or sets of braids in any case. So I'm just going to try to loosely indicate them right now. We will deal with... Oops, nope, we want that. There we go. And we'll deal with filling them out. Once again, this clean lines layer is going to need some additional cleaning of the lines. But that's fun. Ah. That really wouldn't arc in, would it? Well, no. If they're moving forward, which we kind of want to imply a little bit that they are, we also don't want any weird head tangents. And like a Star Wars character now, that's not great. We'll deal with the rest of the hair stuff as we go, I suspect. We want to catch at least the head and hair shape. His hair should be larger than the head. It has a bit of volume to it. And of course we'll get more as we get back there. Definitely not the same hairstyle we'll be looking for at the end there, but that is fun. Okay. These feel like they curve in too much, but I guess that fits if Miquella is rushing in, but not if Miquella isn't, so, you know. We'll see. The overall shape of the figure may balance some of that out. Okay, going back to some of our other refs, I want to just think about the fabric on this. Because, a lot depends on it, and how it chooses to move. And I think this makes a little more sense. Not like a simple, smooth line for the belt. Like, but because we're at this funky angle, maybe it could just be an arc. Maybe it should just be an arc. There's some part of my brain that says it should be an S-curve above here and below there. But, like, that's not really how belts actually work, is it? And we're gonna be definitely below it the whole time, so yeah, arc. Because our horizon line is way low. There we go. There we go. Old 15th tries the charm with long arcs like that, but it's worth it to get a good arc. So, let's see. And this can get us some interesting folds up into this. Coming up along where the shoulder sleeve is going to mess with it. Those can be a connected thing. Get into it. Get some other stuff from the other side. But I don't want this to seem like a hard edge, and we do risk making into a boxy shape if we do that. So, we need to be careful. Instead, get a couple of other arcs of the fabric as it sort of folds in on itself. Got a good Pinterest ref for some of these fabric folds that I'm going to be using at least as a starting point. No, I don't want to do that. I just put my hand on the wrong spot on the keyboard. Okay. We are assuming the shoulder's up high, which I think based on all our other stuff, yeah, it should be. And our collar really ought to be more like this. I'm gonna overthink the collar again. We're gonna have to mess with that. Oh well. Let's instead start on some of this other part, because it is doubly relevant. Actually, hold on. They're on the clean lines layer, right? Yes. Ooh, okay. Oh, did it again. We're getting this to not quite elbow. And in this one, it really should arc up a little more because it is a stiff fabric, which is always fun. One solid line would be better, but we're at least not hen scratching our strokes. So that's good, I think. Let's see. That would have been better as one line, but we'll deal with it as two. I think it'll look reasonable. And I like the flare on this back, but I know the hair is also going to add more flare. Still, having the contrast is nice. Get the hair there. That actually gives us a lot of space for Miquella hair. If we have this a little less, I just want to remember our perspective lines, so that we're still staying in line with that proportionally. Let's see. Like the, oh man, we never super worked out what pose is going on under here, because it wasn't relevant at the time. Got some loose folds and such in here. This will still have fabric in it. It's not just like creases. These sorts of creases is they always manage to continue through because the fabric is stiff enough. Okay. But stiff fabric just won't billow as much. Doesn't mean it can't billow though. We can have a little fun with that still. Let's I'm going to trust that the Shotel is going to do a lot of the shaping down here. We may do some tweaks. We'll probably mess with some more tweaks on that. Because there's other patterns. This particular angle I don't think makes sense with these particular lines. A very static pose with a lot of extra fabric might get those. This pose is somewhat static and would have extra fabric, but there's still motion to it. Not fully stood still. At least, hopefully it's not by the time we're done with it. Gives us a few more things to work on. Let's see, do we want to handle one of the things back here? We've always got the hair that'll be billowing. I do want some loose strands, but I also want some braid going on. But not in a way that looks like a tail, dagnabbit. Sure, other people will draw Miquella furry. and that's fine. That's not really what we're aiming for here. Well, the hair might end up looking that way anywho, but that's fine. You can tell I'm kind of still roughing in the hair. There's definitely some stuff that I could have done more on the sketch layer as opposed to the clean lines layer, but I think mentally we just needed to move on because it feels like we've been on the sketch step for March, April, May, 3 months. 3 months is too long. just far, far too long. So. I'm wondering if Pinterest has any eclipse hotel. Nah, it's all solar and lunar eclipse stuff, which makes sense, to be fair. Okay, let's see. Darn it, Pinterest memes don't need this. Funny but distracting. Move on, move on. Okay. Eclipse Hotel. Moving on. I had a really great image reference for this that I definitely didn't misplace. I have a guess as to where it is, honestly, but like, this is faster. Searching the entirety of the world webs is faster than searching my own hard drive. Probably not, but... Done is done, ain't it? Ooh, is that an STL to 3D print it? Ah, heck yeah. And even subdivided and everything. Nice. Okay. I'm gonna open it up on the wiki page. Crack open that image. Does this thing inflict death? Weapon skill death flare. Oh. I really don't like the implications of Miquella connections going on here. Let's see. Come on, let me open up a bigger view. Have it. That's as much as it's gonna let me zoom, huh? Okay, fine. Ah. Let's see. Maybe the other part of the hand issue is we may have the Shotel. Because we were testing 2 different grip positions, the grip may be too wide. That's fine. What am I doing with like 6 different lines? This ain't the sketch layer. We're not eyeballing this in, we know where it needs to go. We just need the quality of line to get it there. Let's give this a fresh go, yeah? Then maybe we can tweak the hand to fit it. Okay. We did have that really, really detailed one in the earlier version of this. The one thing we filled out pretty well. Might be worth trying to snatch that one. And that contrast really is important, and I feel like we've lost it a little bit. Tighten up the belt to get that back a bit. I have to like liquefy tool because I feel like that's the one thing that might be good to have on the sketch is arc back in more. It really kicks this pose off better. Although it definitely messes with shoulder alignment and stuff at this point. Arc like this, maybe? Really just fill in some of the other stuff that would allow more detail exaggeration. Be more exciting. And this one, how is that angled? Yeah, even counter to vertical. Okay. Something to think about. I thought our pose was little, and this is a common thing. You work out a pose that's dramatic, and then you add all the details, and then somewhere it gets buried in all the fluff and layers. And since we reworked stuff so many times, that definitely was always a risk. That's actually a pretty good line. Yeah, I'm liking what that's doing. Not like that, though. It needs to look sharp after all. Foreshortening on that is not right. Something we can work on, though, and we will continue to work on it. However, I think we're at about the halfway point on the stream. Yeah, 8:58, thereabouts. Which tells me that, we probably ought to take a quick pause. Don't forget to get some water, stand up, stretch a little bit. I'll be doing the same. Use the restroom if you need to. And, we'll be back here in just a couple minutes, unless you want to go check out SGDQ, in which case go do that, because it's awesome. See y'all in a bit, maybe. Howdys and salutations, y'all! We are back. And I'm gonna be honest, on that break, I literally almost dozed off. The staying up super late to watch the Step Maniacs stream yesterday, or Step Maniacs, I still don't technically know which it is taking its toll. So, I'm gonna make one more change today, and then I'm feeling confident about where we're at, and I've left some notes about where to pick up, or what's left to do, rather. In any case, I feel like I'd rather have more of a full session to handle, like, the Shotel, because honestly, if you think about on the Miquella Illustration, I'm using that as our benchmark because it's really the only thing similar to what this is that we've done in terms of scope and detail and such. Like, we spent a whole, like, day on the pauldron and some of the arm stuff, we spent a whole day on the hair at least, and so on. And so I want to be able to give this the time it needs in order to do the Shotel well, in order to do the hands and some of the hair better. Plus, I know we've got the convention stuff, and some of those things are really fun even when I'm low energy, which I am now. But I think what I want to do instead is I want to make this one tweak so that we can sort of fix this up to match the sketch a little bit. It's going to be some rework, and that is always frustrating, which is, I mean, it's a tiny bit of rework, but it's rework nonetheless. And rework is never fun. Hardest part of this particular rework, of course, is making sure we get rid of the old lines, because it matters a lot more that they're not there in the future. Oh, wait, hold on. There's one way to make this easier. Clear some of that stuff out. Because we're still going to have all that stuff from the hair, and I want the hair to have sort of space to breathe. Not that hair does that. Actually, it kind of does a little bit. I think you need oxygen for hair quality. That's not important. What is important is cleaning some of these lines up a little bit. Wow, yeah, I'm still doing fairly sketchy stuff this late in. There we go. Look at that, vector lines, it just, whoops, cleans right up, maybe a little too well sometimes, but there, nice and smoothish, smooth enough curve. I want to adjust some of these a little bit. And honestly, this will potentially help with, oops, there we go. Some of our shoulder width issues. Let's see. And having that sort of weird folding in makes more sense if there's more contrast in any case. Yeah, just all around I think this will be better, but it also really makes the silhouette kick a lot more, which is what we had in our original sketch, and I think it'll be better for this too. Having some high contrast on this, so we've got some sharp bends there, and then even on the hair we'll probably arc it more. So we've got higher contrast going on here. Contrast, I mean, in the angles between these two. Let's see, I don't like what that bend's doing to the depth. Kind of like getting the eye going in the wrong angle, and it makes it look like we've got a little less bend. Anyway, keepers. There we go. We'll tweak some of that, I'm sure, again too. But having that contrast helps the pose look a little more leaned into and a little more real. And this shoulder looks so cartoony sometimes. I think it's because the upper part is too big. Don't want to lose the slant, but I do want to lose this shoulder is so sticking far out. Oh right, we can, like, humans are shaped like this. That's right. More. But the shoulder can, like, chill a little. It's far away, it should not be that big. Deal. Oops, we just lost a lot of lines there all at once that we didn't necessarily want to. Still lines up with that lines up better. Proportions on the distance are still weird. we go. We'll probably have some cleanup on that, but tonight is definitely not the night to mess with it. Yeah, we're gonna have to revisit some of our foreshortening stuff a little bit. Again. But again, not a tonight problem. Probably not next couple streams problem. We're gonna get some stuff in here first, and then we're gonna fix this arm. This sinking cartoon tubey arm. The over-cartoon tubiness probably wasn't helping it, although this makes the hand look worse. But the sleeve's probably too big, and a few other things. We will get that worked out once this doesn't look like Mickey Mouse, don't worry. Wouldn't really be visible on all of those, but have some of this, because once again, this is a lot of straight lines for the clean line layer. The hand itself should probably be more up, and then the thumb can fit around it better. Okay, so there may be a few more things that we do real quick whilst we're here. Trying to leave it in a good place and hopefully not leaving it in a messed up place. The name of good, we'll see. So we were going to have to rework the arm anyway. I'm probably going to have to go review some foreshortening tutorials on the arm, truth be told. Just to freshen up on that and make sure we're doing it in a way that makes sense. But this does fit better with the thumb in any case. And we'll go from there, because that's clearly shortening wrong into the wrist. The wrist coming out of the hand should be bigger. And but it shouldn't be huge by the time it gets over there, so I'm just going to need to think through how it's getting from A to B, basically. Again. But that, again, is not a today problem. Today problem was just working on this, which I think is a good thing we tweaked. Though it still doesn't bend nearly as much as I'd like. There we go. Let's get that contrast and the swing back into a more reasonable shoulder. You know, for our first big sketch, I could have chosen something with a less horribly convoluted perspective. But I didn't. Which is admittedly pretty characteristic. Sorry, something stuck in my tooth there. But yeah, we've got the notes. Foreshortening, obviously. Now's the time to straighten it out, though, is kind of at this stage. The time probably would have been a little sooner than at this stage, but it's where we're at. I think the problem is that the hand should probably be smaller, because it's still at, like... The hand should really be level with this plane. And it's big enough to be more like at the bottom of the shotel, so, you know. We'll see. Because that's really the thing, is it's not the shotel should be giant down here. This is about the right width for it normally. No. Just copy and paste the other arc, really. But what's a little arc practice? Maybe a little bit of arc cheating. That's okay. The point is that this end should probably be the one that's actually like much smaller and then gets larger, because the hand should be smaller. All that should be smaller. hands are usually bigger than I expect them to be, but in this case, I don't think that's going to be true. Okay, so this has gotten sketchy, and that's a sign that I need to stop messing with it for the night, which I will do. Actually, I'm going to erase this line so I don't confuse myself later. What the heck is meant by it. And then we'll come back. We'll come back to this next time when we can put a little more focus on individual elements. That's A-okay with me. But before we do that... Before we do next time, I mean, I'm actually going to pause, and I think we'll throw on another game just to mix things up a little bit, because I don't want to miss out on the second part of the stream, even if we only got a few minutes left. And we're just going to sort of see how this one goes. Should be fun. So I'm going to pause for just a few moments while I get the game set up, and update the stream category, and I'll cut the YouTube recording here, so we'll jump onto another one afterwards. And I'll see y'all in just a few.